Hello, everyone. I'm Z, and I'm here to talk about my personal experience of sexual assault. Just to give you a brief background about me, I'm 24 years old, and I work in the mental health field. I've been through a lot of trauma, and being sexually assaulted was one of the things that has happened in my life that became a catalyst to why I'm doing what I'm doing as a mental health worker. To be honest with you, it took me a while to open up and share my sexual assault experience because there were a lot of emotions at play and there were multiple factors that affected my mental well-being. So let me tell you my story. I was sexually assaulted a few months away from when I was about to turn 18. I just finished my first year in college, about to enter into my last year before transferring to university. At that time, I was in a relationship. And of course, as a young individual that thought she was in love, I chose this person to have sex with and be the person that I lose my virginity to. Things were okay at first until there were certain things he wanted to do that I was not entirely okay with, like public sex or even having sex without a condom. But those things happened anyway. I thought that if I disagreed or if I did not engage in these activities, that he would leave me or would find someone else to satisfy his needs. I wanted to be loved, and I wanted to show that I was capable of love. To which later on, I found out he did satisfy his needs with someone else. And it was also the reason why the relationship ended. One particular event that I want to share was the moment he asked to do it without a condom, as he felt uncomfortable or he had mentioned he wanted to try and feel what it's like without a condom on. Knowing and aware of that I do not like this, as one, I already come from a Catholic background, so I already feel guilty for even having premarital sex. And two, I was worried of getting pregnant. Who wouldn't be at the age of 17? He then asked if I was on the pill, and I had informed him no. He encouraged me to get birth control anyway since we're active, and that he does want to try having sex without a condom. Keep in mind that I have already told him I'm uncomfortable with the idea. All of this discussion happened before having sex. An hour later, I consented to have sex, and he asked if he can take off the condom. Again, I said no, multiple times. And then all of a sudden, I felt something change. He took the condom off. When I figured out that he took it off, I turned around, trying to stop him, but he just grabbed my head and had me face the front. At that moment, my vision went black, and I was just taking it. So many thoughts in my head. What am I going to do after this? What if I get pregnant? Oh my God, my parents would disown me. Considering I had just recovered from having a major depressive episode, this was an event I did not sign up for, nor expect it to happen. And I'm going to be honest with you. I was not even aware that what had just happened was sexual assault. At that time, I was naive and innocent. I was not an informed being. I believed the myths of sexual assault, that it is only committed by a stranger, that it can never happen with your partner. That because I initially consented, it's fine, and that counts as I said yes to having sex without a condom. I did not know about sexual assault until the next day, and I'm not sure if it was divine intervention, but the next morning when I woke up and was scrolling through my social media, a what you need to know about sexual assault came up. I read it, and after a few minutes processing the information I had just read, I started to tear up and feel angry. I was angry for being treated that way. I was angry I let myself be vulnerable. I was angry for not listening to my parents. And at the same time, I was also hearing the voice of my parents and what my family would be telling me had they found out. I talked to one of my closest friends, and while we were having a conversation, I was questioning myself and trying to make sense of what had happened. I wondered whether because from the beginning of the relationship, he had known that I was interested in or wanted to explore certain kinks, that this had given him permission to override my no responses during the incident. I was replaying that afternoon over and over and over again. Honestly, I'm grateful that I received support at that time. However, I never really mentioned what happened to me to anyone else until 6 months later. Primarily because I had just finally accepted that I was assaulted and have gotten over the victim blaming, or rather, blaming myself for what had happened. But also because a month and a half later of the assault, I had a miscarriage in the middle of class. I was shocked and speechless because I wasn't aware that I was pregnant, even after I took the morning after pill and a pregnancy test. There I was, bleeding heavily, in a medium-sized chunk of tissue, or I don't honestly know what you call it, since I don't think it was an actual fetus yet. This event haunted me, even when I have already transferred to my dream university. I had nightmares on anniversaries of the incident. I was skipping classes here and there, and even resorted to toxic alcohol consumption. At some point, I also attempted inflicting injury on myself. Although this did not affect my academic standing, a few of my friends pointed out my impulsive behaviors and severe withdrawal and isolation. At that point, I decided that since my mental health was seriously declining, that I should see a therapist. I sought one that was offered through my school, and everything was going great until I decided to share my assault experience. And I was told by my therapist that what had happened was not exactly sexual assault, but that I was convinced and persuaded into the act itself. That I went with the flow. I guess you could say that I stopped listening to whatever came out of her mouth after that, and I was just stunned. It was unbelievable that this is coming from a therapist. This discouraged me from seeking help after, and specifically about this trauma. Up to this day, I will admit that I have not mentioned what had happened to my family. Only my friends and current partner are aware of what has happened to me. I don't know if I would be able to tell them in the future, or if I even want them to know. But I do want to emphasize that regardless of that one incident when I sought help, I decided to try again. Having more knowledge now and being on the path to become a licensed professional, I learned that therapy does help, and you just need to find the person that is a good fit for you. I can never change what happened, but I can speak up and be a voice for others who are silenced and suffering in silence. It is a harsh fact, but women experience sexual assault at least once in their lifetime, and it's typically before they turn 21. Because of the trauma I've experienced, it pushed me to make a difference and help advocate for others. And as a mental health professional, help in dismantling the stigma attached to mental health, mental illness, and most especially help reduce the mindset of victim blaming. And before I end this podcast, please remember, what happened to you was not your fault. You are not alone in this. You are a survivor, and your sexual assault does not define you.